my name's Javier Majumdar. I'm a machine learning intern at ANO, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a presentation on AI deep research. So first, I want to talk about some of the current limits in AI reasoning. Most AI tools now often give generic answers or shallow responses, which don't reflect deep understanding or critical thinking. There's also a lack of goal alignment with some of the model outputs, where they fail to align with real objectives or decision-making needs. There's also a limited cross-domain awareness. So models are typically limited to narrow contexts and unable to integrate info from across domains. And this is where AI deep research comes into play. So AI deep research is a system that uses independent reasoning. So it develops original insights instead of repeating patterns, and it comes to kind of its own conclusions. It uses a purpose-driven approach, so it guides AI research towards specific goals such as solving complex problems. It uses multiple source contexts, so it combines info from a wide range of sources such as text, documents, and databases in order to provide more context for the response. And it also integrates human feedback, so it combines human judgment with AI tools in order to improve reasoning and quality. So some of the key features of AI deep research is its ability to scrape a wide range of sources and then find the most relevant information from there. It has the ability to refine prompts by asking itself more refined questions to get a more accurate output. It uses cross-verification, so it references different sources. And an example of this is instead of using one database for its source, it uses multiple databases to ensure that information is correct. And it also uses contextual relevance, so it places information within broader context in order to understand connections. And this kind of enables it to think more independently rather than just relying on its internally trained data. And here's a model of the process for standard prompting versus deep research. For standard prompting, you would prompt it or ask a question. Then the model would use its internal training data to predict and use patterns to come up with a response. And yeah, it's pretty simple. It just relies on its own internal training data. Deep research, on the other hand, you would prompt it, but it's a little more goal driven. So it retrieves context from a variety of sources online, and it will compile all these things like documents, databases. It'll compile all this text into a response, and this will then be verified through referencing different sources, and then also refined through asking itself more detailed questions. And then it'll finally come up with a response. So overall, deep research is a lot more, it's a more detailed process, and it uses independent thinking more than relying just on its internally trained data. So something that I've been working on at ANO is developing a pipeline to automate the grant proposal writing process for small businesses. And how this works, basically, this process mimics the deep research process. And so first you would insert a grant website URL, and then from there you would extract the content from the HTML and PDF. And we did this through a scraper. And then this data is converted into usable text, which is then stored into a vector database. And from there it's retrieved and used to generate content using RAG and grant context. And then from there, we revise the outputs by using iterative revision. And then finally, it's formatted and produced into a PDF, which is ready for submission. And this here's a more technical slide on how our code implements deep research. We use data collection through a function called scrape grant text and fetch relevant information about grant. And yeah, these are pretty self-explanatory. It basically scrapes the text for relevant information. We also use semantic indexing, which is basically retrieving relevant information through meaning. And we use seed chroma and query collection for this. We use iterative prompting through a function called generate series of instructions, where we repeatedly improve the instructions for the AI model. And this makes the responses more accurate and how we want it. We also integrate context and writing using grant instructions and company-specific documents. We use iterative revision too through a function called revise grant, which basically revises the output for the proposal multiple times using a system persona, which is basically a role that we give the AI model to make its responses more accurate in how we want it. And then for the final output, we have the proposal as a PDF. And we use a function called design grant to format it and change the fonts so it adheres to grant instructions. And that's the end of the presentation. Thank you for listening.